It was just after midnight when my phone started vibrating on the nightstand. At first, I figured it was an alarm or maybe a wrong number. But when I squinted at the glowing screen, my stomach dropped. It was Emma, Lily's best friend. I hesitated. Why would she be calling me at this hour? Half asleep, I picked up and murmured, "Hello?" My voice trembled. There was a pause, then Emma's shaky whisper, "Daniel, it's about Lily." My pulse quickened. What about her? I asked, suddenly wide awake. She inhaled sharply before saying the words that stole my breath. "She's in the hospital. There's been an accident." My mind went blank. I didn't ask how or why, I just grabbed my keys and bolted out the door. The drive there was a blur, flashing lights, pounding heart, whispered prayers. All I could think about was our last conversation, the stupid argument we'd had earlier that night. When I arrived, Emma was already there, sitting on a bench outside the emergency room. Her eyes were swollen, her hands trembling. "Where is she?" I demanded. She just pointed toward the doors. I tried to rush in, but a nurse stopped me. "The doctors were still working on her," she said. That single sentence felt like an eternity stretched thin. We sat in silence until I finally asked what had happened. Emma's voice was soft. "She left my place late. She'd had some wine and said she couldn't sleep after your fight. She called me before she drove off. Said she was going to see you." The guilt hit like a wave crashing down. The last words I'd spoken to her were sharp, distant. I never imagined they'd be the last she'd ever hear. After what felt like forever, a doctor stepped out. His face told me everything before he even spoke. "We did everything we could," he said quietly. "The world fell apart." I didn't hear anything else. The floor seemed to spin until I felt Emma's hand gripping my arm to keep me upright. They let me see her one final time. She looked peaceful, as though sleeping. I reached for her hand, it was already cold. I whispered that I was sorry, that I loved her, and that I wished I could undo everything. The weight of all our unsaid words pressed down until I could barely breathe. The next days drifted by like smoke, the funeral, the condolences, the hollow sympathy. None of it felt real. I kept expecting my phone to buzz again, waiting to see her name appear. Sometimes I even typed out messages to her, only to delete them before pressing send. The silence was suffocating. A week later, Emma came by. She handed me an envelope. "She wrote this," she said quietly. "Told me to give it to you, if anything ever happened." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a short letter, Lily's handwriting, neat but trembling with emotion. She wrote about our arguments, how she felt me slipping away, and how she blamed herself for it. "If anything ever happens to me," she wrote, "please don't hate yourself. I love you, Daniel, even when I don't say it right." The tears came before I could stop them. Every sentence tore deeper than the last. After reading it, I drove to the spot where her accident happened, a lonely stretch of road outside the city. I stood there for hours, replaying every memory, from the day we met to the night everything ended. I finally understood how fragile love can be, how pride, anger, and silence can destroy what the heart tries to protect. Time passed. Emma and I stayed in touch. She became the keeper of Lily's memory, sharing photos, stories, little phrases Lily used to say. Then one evening, Emma told me something that changed everything. That night, she said softly, "Lily wasn't just coming to see you. She wanted to tell you something important." I looked at her, confused. She just found out she was pregnant. My breath caught. I stared at Emma, speechless, as tears welled in her eyes. "She didn't want to tell you over the phone, not after the fight," she whispered. "She wanted to make things right first." My knees nearly gave out. The pain I thought couldn't deepen suddenly doubled. I hadn't just lost her, I'd lost our future too. That night, I sat in the dark, clutching her letter. It meant something entirely new now. I realized she hadn't written it from fear, she'd written it from love, to shield me from the guilt she somehow knew would follow. Even in her final hours, she had thought of me first. Years have passed since that night, but I still remember the sound of the phone, Emma's trembling voice, and those words that shattered everything. I've learned to forgive myself, though the ache never truly fades. Sometimes I still drive to that quiet road, sit in my car, and whisper the words I never got to say. I'm sorry, Lily. I love you. I always will. And every time the wind stirs through the trees, I like to think it's her, answering softly, reminding me that love never really dies. It just changes shape and finds its way back, through the silence.